Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back to Theory Night in Canada. We have, now you may think to yourself, didn't there used to be like 5 people on this podcast? No, that's not true. It has always been just me and Spencer.
Yeah.
If you mention any other host of this podcast in the comments or you message us about them, you will be also erased from history.
Yeah, we've gone through, we've used AI to scrub the pictures.
Actually, we AI'd in Trey, Nana, and Liam. They never existed.
That was AI voices to make the cast sound more diverse.
Yes.
Which now that I think about it, that is. Yeah, so it's all fallen apart is what we're getting at.
Yeah.
We've been blocked and muted through internal struggle in a kind of what's that movie where the guy takes off the coat and has like 10,000 medals? Zhukov.
In Death of Stalin.
Yeah, it's kind of been like a death of Stalin over the last couple weeks, and there's been a struggle for power over who makes the super profits of the podcast.
Unfortunately, we had to execute Trey for anti-Soviet activities.
Yeah.
Liam is too busy having gay sex this week.
Yeah.
Nana is doing actual party work.
Nana exists in the real world.
Yeah.
Which means that unfortunately he's not always existing in this fake world that we exist in.
Yeah.
So
the online is real life.
Yeah.
Online is now more real than real life.
It's kind of like French dream theory, which is that like dreams are the only things that are real and everything you do when you're awake is like simulacrum because like what is existing in your subconscious is the most real thing that can exist to you.
Okay.
We're at a point in life where what we do with our online existence is the only thing that matters, and what we actually do outside is completely inconsequential because it's not part of the Twitter wars.
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. Everyone is online now and no one is normal, right?
Yeah.
So being online is more important than being in real life.
And it's more normal than being normal.
That is also true. Everyone is crazy now.
When you think about it, 95% of people are online probably going crazy, right?
Yeah.
When you go out into the real world, what's the, not to get too deep into this, what's the rate of neuroatypicality is what we'll refer to it as?
You think everyone has autism now? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that being an online schizo is more neurotypical than neurotypicality.
Neurodivergence rate, Canada, because this is Theory Night in Canada. Let's take a look. So about 6.2 million Canadians live with a disability. 5% of Canadians age 15 plus have a disability.
They're probably not including lactose intolerance and disabilities, but
5.6% of Canadians 15 plus have a learning disability such as autism, ADHD, dyslexia, or other dyscalculia issues like that, according to Stats Canada. It's actually 5.6% is almost both lower and higher than I would have thought.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be either like 1 or 20.
Yeah, I honestly, I feel that because it's the kind of thing where it's like with the post-scrolling ADHD symptoms, you're probably hitting like 20%.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're going for like the hard line measurements, like old school measurements of this person needs to be like a non-functional adult. I don't want to say, maybe that's a bit crude, but whatever. Work with me here. That's probably like 1%, and the other's probably 20%. 5% though, 5% you can kind of do with everything, no matter what.
Yeah.
So where are we at again? Oh yeah, digitally erasing people.
Yeah.
But also digitally bringing them into existence.
Yeah, AI.
So
people.
We'll start today, I suppose, with the whole war with Iran and Netanyahu.
Netanyahu is an AI agent now. His consciousness has been uploaded to the cloud. He now lives in the Google Cloud Platform's Israel West-1 server, where he governs now as an immortal. No, Iran has
luckily for Bernie Sanders, who went out to condemn Netanyahu's war.
Yeah.
Netanyahu is now a digital being who is guaranteed to always be here.
Yes. So for what we're talking about, by the way, is the popular conspiracy theory that Netanyahu is dead, and videos of him are now being AI generated by the Israeli government.
Yes. So we discussed this a few days ago, and we both agreed that Netanyahu is probably not dead.
Yeah.
Just because whenever you assume the person you hate most in the world is dead, they always turn back alive, one way or another.
The thing is, Netanyahu being dead would mean that someone who deserves to face consequences faced consequences.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen.
Yeah. But essentially what's happened is he's missed, as of today, which is March 17th, I believe he's missed 7 cabinet meetings in a row, hasn't been seen in like a week or something like that. And he released a video of, I forget which one came first, but one was of him in a coffee shop. Or no, I think it was a video of him outside first, talking to a few people, and I don't know how to describe it, because all the individual details looked around right, but it immediately rung the bell to me of this is AI.
So there are a couple of videos that they definitely touched up with AI or something.
Yeah.
Like there's one where you can see the ring on his finger shift in and out of existence.
Yeah.
There's one where he has too many fingers on one hand.
Yeah.
I don't think he's dead. What's probably happening is if Israel is using AI to generate videos of Netanyahu, it's not to make people think he's still alive. It is to avoid revealing where he really is.
Yeah. I was looking at them, and fundamentally the composition of the videos was kind of what rung AI. Everything was very smooth. Everything was like just a little bit weirdly polished. The background was just so consistently blurred in a certain kind of way that you just like don't really do if you're using a regular camera. Like it was filmed as if it was a phone camera or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But everything in the foreground, no matter how close or far, was like relatively in focus, and everything in the background was like very blurry.
Mm-hmm.
Which you have to get into like proper equipment to do that.
Yeah.
Which isn't something you would really do just to say hi. It's like just a weird setup. And then the coffee video came out and he was like, I think that was the one where he counted his fingers and was like, see guys, I have the right number of fingers. But that one just looked like the pictures you see where it's like, this is a image generated with AI 2 years ago and here's one today in a coffee shop. And the one 2 years ago looks like mediocre and the one today looks pretty damn good. And assuming that Netanyahu, who is the leader, the supreme leader of Israel,
mm-hmm.
with access to all of America's technology, I assume they have the best of the best models in existence, the most cutting edge stuff possible, which to me, this kind of rings the bell for. Now, my theory that I told you about was that I think that Netanyahu is in Berlin hiding in a Zionist synagogue specifically. And I think they can't reveal that he is in Berlin because they're supposed to arrest him if he is.
Okay.
So his plane went to Berlin, but they were like, oh, it's just the staff. And they need him to not be in the plane for that reason. A Zionist synagogue would fall in line, but they can't reveal that he's in a synagogue, or else you're going to get a ton of synagogue shootings everywhere instantly. So they need to keep it under grip. And that's my theory. That is unverified, and do not do anything about this information. I made it up. Just to be clear.
I think we gotta flatten Berlin to find out. It's the only way.
Might just be the case.
Yeah.
You know? Keep it safe.
Yeah.
But I think this also adds to the larger kind of representation, I think, of media for the war of Iran, which is that I have no fucking clue what's going on anymore.
Well, Israel has all that shit down locked.
Yeah.
Like Israel is not letting any information like out of the country, basically. That's all. Honestly, Israel goes out of their way to do that generally.
Yeah.
Right.
Every single video I see, it comes out and I'm like, whoa, this is interesting. And then someone will always be like, sources verify that's true. Real patriots have fact checked this.
Yeah.
And then someone comes out and is like, hey guys, that's actually an AI generated video. And then someone else comes out and is like, no, it's not AI. And here's the proof. And then sometimes it's like video game footage as well that's like touched up.
Yeah.
And I genuinely have struggled to figure out what's real and what's fake. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to. I'm starting to realize more and more that everything I do is just a shot in the dark.
So, I mean, yeah, we live in Baudrillard's hyper reality now, where the line between what is real and what is fake has blurred to the point of non-existence. This is AI has accelerated this, but this has been going on for a long time. There's a very famous essay about the first Iraq War in the 80s and 90s called "The Iraq War Did Not Happen." Forget who it's by. It might be.
Wait, this was the Gulf War, and was this Baudrillard? No, yeah. Who did the Gulf War? The Gulf War did not exist.
Take place.
Yeah.
La guerre du Golfe n'a pas eu lieu by Jean Baudrillard.
Yeah.
Sort of covers the emergence of this phenomenon pre-AI. And the Iran War is in a lot of ways very similar to the Iraq War as Baudrillard described, where it was really like a shock and awe air power massacre, basically like a genocide with one overwhelming force versus like a coughing baby, basically, right? But the facts of the war were presented in a different way to people living in the countries actually fighting it. Like it was not at all the same thing, right? The Iraq War, as you remember it, never happened.
Yeah, I think this is something that I've said that I've slowly kind of more confidently gained the position of like Western liberalism being based on infinite genocide, at least the American imperial power. Because it's like looking at the Korean War, what did Korea do to America? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
America leveled them, destroyed, 98% of all structures, and 100, like they had 0 significant structures left remaining. Killed is it like 1.5 million? Killed like 1/5, 1/10 of their population, eviscerated so many people, and then was like, oh, now that there's no more structures and no significant population able to do anything left, we should start nuking them, which they never actually did. But like it was just the evisceration of a population and like a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no war. It was just annihilation. And then you go to like Vietnam.
Yeah.
And it sits somewhere around the same. You go to like Cambodia and Laos, and they're like the same thing. You go to Indonesia, and it's the same thing, just annihilation of a population with no real way to fight back at all. And it just happens relatively consistently. So now America's in Iran. Iran's not doing anything to America. And Iran really can't do anything to America, but they will still annihilate as much of it as possible. They're bombing Tehran and the oil, and it's all getting seeped into the air. So they're going to be eviscerated by what it's doing to everyone's lungs for decades to come. Healthcare will be like overworked with less resources because America will do their best to shut that down in the future if America still holds its power. But another thing America is doing right now is they're just kind of shooting at random. Like they went to Venezuela, did their thing, and then that like died as fast as it started. Is it still going on? In what capacity? With like Venezuela?
Oh, Venezuela? No, it's not going on.
Yeah.
Or they replaced Maduro with the vice president.
Yeah, but like they went in, abducted Maduro, and then like did nothing effectively. And then
I think that's what they thought. So they went in. The Venezuela operation went honestly so well for the United States, where they go in, basically decapitate the state by taking Maduro, replace him with the next person, and then the next person just agrees to work with them closer in the future.
Yeah.
Right? I figure when they killed Ali Khamenei, they thought a similar thing would happen. Maybe they weren't aware that Ali Khamenei was like a moderate by Iran standards.
Also, the next guy up just had his entire family eviscerated by America, which probably doesn't help.
Yeah, his wife and kids were killed during the campaign.
And his father, Ali Khamenei.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I don't know how close he was to his father. I mean, apparently, did you hear that Trump was briefed that the new president of Iran is gay?
Yes, I did. They actually got Stavi briefing. Genuinely, how does that happen? Just walks in and is like, tell me about this new guy. And so I was like, I heard he's like...
Trump, quote, could not stop laughing at bizarre intel on Iran's new leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. Report. New York Post claimed U.S. intelligence briefed. Now, I mean, if the New York Post said it, it probably isn't true. But they claim the U.S. intelligence briefed Donald Trump that Moitaba Khamenei may be gay.
And I love how it says may be gay. It's like playground talk, like word on the street. He's a little gay.
Apparently, Donald Trump, quote, laughed aloud upon hearing the briefing.
And hey, it's not about the war. It's about the laughs we shared with friends on the way.
So their CIA says, or no, the CIA didn't say this, CBS said that the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was against the selection of Muhtaba Khamenei as the next supreme leader over, quote, issues in his, quote, personal life. The report, however, did not specify what those issues might be. The New York Post claimed that the three sources told them, and those three sources were 2 U.S. intelligence officers and 1 White House insider, that the intelligence on Muhtaba Khamenei being gay is viewed as credible by U.S. spy agencies. But the Post noted that the U.S. intelligence agencies do not have any photographic evidence of the same, and the information is being, quote, closely held by the U.S. government.
And I guess, yeah, the first thing that's happened, which we now know that when they went into the war, we know that they never considered the Strait of Hormuz at all, which was the reason why no one had done this for like 25 years.
Well,
was because they were like,
that. I think
well,
so, there's a few reasons why.
There's at least there's more than one reason, but like one of the easiest things you could say is like, oh, it's gonna fuck up the Strait of Hormuz and oil's gonna get wrecked.
Yeah, the Strait of Hormuz has always been a sticking point of a potential conflict. I mean, when it comes down to it, the reason why the U.S. has not fucked with Iran before is because past, more competent administrations have known that they could not defeat Iran without invading it, number one. Number two, invading Iran is like impossible.
Yeah.
Those are the main issues at hand here, right? I mean, you could secure the Strait of Hormuz, but there's nothing stopping the rest of Iran from bombarding the strait, even if you occupy the immediate coastline. Mm-hmm. As Iran has proved, even after heavy bombardment, they continue to shoot stuff at the Gulf and Israel, right? Because they're able, you can just, with modern technology, you can just launch missiles from caves, basically.
Yeah.
In one of the many thousands of caves in Iran's 90% mountain terrain.
Yeah, it's the price of oil is spiking, and it will continue to do so for as long as this conflict goes. But a few brilliant souls have come up with other options. What was the one guy that was like, we should just dig a channel? It would only take 21 thermonuclear bombs.
I think
that was probably a fake post. No, that was a real post. It has to be.
I don't know if it was sincere. I haven't seen it. But I have seen people joke about digging a canal through the UAE and Oman.
Yeah.
I've seen people saying, why don't we just sail oil to the UAE and then either drive it or take it on a train to Oman?
I've seen the drive it ones. Yeah, that one's good.
Also, like, why Iran would just start bombing whatever oil terminal you set up.
Yeah, the best part about every alternative motion around, like, there's a reason the Strait of Hormuz is used. Yeah. And it's because it is by far and away the most expedient way to do that. There is actually one little tidbit that I learned, which is 50% of all ships are just for like oil and stuff. So all the marine oil and gas usage is just for moving more oil and gas. Like that. That's it. It exists to sustain itself. And now you kind of get two groups. I wish we would have one of our previous AI guests on here, Shrey, to discuss this further. But you kind of, I find, people are getting sorted into two groups with the spike of oil prices. One group is, this is why we need to have all of our domestic oil, like get all of our internal oil projects done immediately as of yesterday so that we have our own national capacity for this. And then there's the other group of people that are like, this is why we shouldn't have gone on oil this much, and we should have rotated to renewables 20 years ago and be done as of yesterday. Which Canada does have a lot of renewables, but also is reliant a lot on oil. The easiest way to get around a lot of the most disastrous day-to-day consequences of oil for like your everyday person is just e-bikes.
Okay. Now
like,
you've claimed that e-bikes are going to overtake cars within 5 years, multiple times in the past 5 years.
Give it another 5 years. I think that, like,
I don't think we're going to see another oil crisis, if that's what you're hinting to.
I have a feeling this will probably end before that. Though America is in a very tight spot where they're stuck between having to pick their one child, Israel, versus their other child,
Dubai,
the petrodollar.
Okay. Yeah, I think an underrated aspect of this is the petrodollar situation, right? Iran and China trading oil and potentially in yuan.
Yeah,
and
because
Iran
they said that you could go through the Strait of Hormuz if the deal was dealt in yuan.
Yeah, which is a huge... I mean, if you're not familiar with the petrodollar, the general idea of it is that the United States can afford to spend basically an infinite amount of money on whatever they want, really, which is usually like weapons and bombs, because every country on Earth needs to maintain a strategic U.S. dollar currency reserve. And the reason why they have to do that is because the U.S. makes everyone buy oil in U.S. dollars, right? So the continued, first of all, use of oil as opposed to any other like system, and the fact that that oil has to be traded in U.S. dollars supports the continued existence of the American empire. The American empire basically has to maintain this system at all costs. Otherwise, everything falls apart and they have to run themselves like a normal country.
I think I was saying in the last episode that the sinking of an aircraft carrier could be the end of like the American empire, which that was like, I think, a slight exaggeration, as much as I do think a lot of it's true. Like the complete shattering of the concept of the American military's power would be a complete disaster. The loss of the petrodollar eviscerates
it's an existential threat to the point where it's immediate extinction of the American empire. I think the American empire could exist in a reduced form if, like, I don't know, 80% of countries continue using it, or 70 or even 60. We're still forced to use the petrodollar. But if we're dropping to like everyone just uses Chinese yuan.
Probably if we're dropping below 60, I guess it's like you're now referring to the downfall of the empire as opposed to like a slight diminishing or a horizontal state. Like the empire has kind of been in a horizontal state since the end of the Cold War, since the collapse of the Soviet Union, because it can't really expand anymore in a significant capacity. The entire globe had either been like invaded by America and Britain and was broadly part of the American stock market, spare some small population somewhere. End of the petrodollar is the complete shrinking of that.
Yeah.
The goal is no longer the same.
Yeah. The U.S. can't just print dollars and have people scoop them up. No longer works.
Which is how their entire economy is like banked. It's free money.
Yeah.
And free dollar influence on the entire world. It's like their whole financial stability. So, anyways, Treatlerites might be upset by that.
Why would they be upset? I mean, they would, I guess. If by Treatlerites you mean like most people in the United States.
Yes. I mean, fundamentally, the existence of the United States is completely dependent on the quote-unquote middle class being able to buy a few treats for Christmas. That's all that sustains it. If that is lost, what the fuck is the point of being in the imperial core if you can't get some treats for Christmas?
Yeah.
Why did you invade all those people? But yeah, I guess there's a couple ways that Canada ties in with all of this. One is the Edmonton police chief going to Israel to see what their policing is up to so he could listen and learn. And the mayor saying, I'm very frustrated about this, as if he's not someone who could do something about it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with a lot of cities are kind of held hostage by the police force because no city is willing to go without police, which means disciplining them is incredibly difficult because if you do anything that upsets them, then they go on strike.
Yeah, you can't have them do like what's that movie where it's like crime is legal for 12
The
hours?
Purge?
Yeah, you can't have cops being like, okay, we're not going to do anything for a day. You can't have cops getting upset and going on strike, or else you will actually get some
And you know what's fucked up? If there was a police strike over something as stupid as our police chief should be allowed to go to Israel and get bombed by Iran, you know that would be the one labor strike the government wouldn't touch.
Yeah, they would cave instantly.
Yeah, that would be the only one where they're like, actually, you know what? They're right.
Yeah, every single one of you gets a vacation to Israel.
Yeah.
And a raise stat.
Yeah.
One, what the fucking are you learning from Israeli police?
Doesn't the IDF train the NYPD or something like that? Or?
Well, I know they have just tons of ties like that all over. I don't know the exact ones. But at this point, like, you can't, no matter what you do, you can't say you don't know what's going on in Israel. Especially because all of the police were sent to attack all of the students at college campuses for protesting what's going on in Israel. You can say you don't believe them or something like that, but you can't act like you didn't know anything, like LeBron James.
Yeah.
You know? The Edmonton police chief going to Israel, that now people are upset about that. I don't know why you would do that, and I don't know why you would expect there not to be like a ton of backlash, especially because it's like, I need to be trained by these people. What does everyone know about these people? Oh yeah, they know how to like slaughter children en masse.
Yeah.
That's their specialty. And then actually we have a few connections. The next one is the Bill 233 No More Loopholes Act, which is Canada has been sending weapons to Israel in a connection through America.
Yeah. Where
we sell weapons to America, and then those weapons go through the path line to Israel. And it was tabled. I forget all the terminology. It was tabled and then voted down to maintain the loophole. Yeah. So despite previously Carney and co. and Trudeau and co. at the time saying we will stop all new contracts and then cancel existing contracts, we discovered that they indeed had not canceled all the contracts, but also that arms had still been going to Israel despite claims that they hadn't. And we are also aware that an investigation had brought it to the government's awareness that this was happening with the weapons, and they decided to deliberately do nothing about it until it was revealed to the public, and they've just decided to openly maintain it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone is surprised. I don't think this bill was ever going to pass, is what I'm saying. I don't think the Liberal government really everything the Liberal government does, and we can talk about this as well, is based on micromanaging polling numbers for different special interest groups.
Yeah.
Zionist is one of those groups that they like to pander to. They love specific immigrant diasporas. This also connects to the Iran situation. So public polling, the Canadian government has had a whole wishy-washy thing where we were like, we support the U.S. and Israel bombing Iran, and I think the reason why that support was voiced, even though Carney had his whole thing about
despite
middle
the fact
powers.
that everyone hated it, and he had his thing, as you were saying, about middle powers need to come against this
against this global hegemon that we sit next to and could bomb us at any moment, right? I think the reason he did that is because bombing Iran is overwhelmingly popular with Iranian Canadians. Right? I mean, this happens anytime a diaspora group is fleeing a dictatorship. Obviously, they have...
they want to see the downfall of that dictatorship.
Right. Even if a lot of diaspora communities would not even go back to the country, even if the dictatorship were to fall, right? Especially because if that dictatorship falls, I doubt it's going to be a place that is as good as Canada that replaces it in terms of quality of life. So the Iranian diaspora is concentrated in a few strategic areas for the Liberals, like Toronto, right? Which is why I think they released that statement in the first place. But then it was walked back immediately by Carney. He's like, actually, we don't support this, whatever, right? And he keeps flip-flopping because polling in general amongst everyone else in Canada, except for again, the Iranian diaspora and a bunch of conservative hyper-partisans who just love war, is overwhelmingly opposed to the intervention at all. Even though obviously most Canadians do not support the mullahs or the IRGC, I think it's 61% of Canadians oppose or strongly oppose the intervention.
Yeah, I think we're at a form of splintered media that used to exist. Media was kind of not collectivized, like
Centralized.
centralized, yeah, underneath the mass media that was able to very effectively manufacture consent. And with the re-splintering, it's exceedingly hard to manufacture consent. On one hand, people are annoyed that everybody is allowed to have their own micro ideology with 12 people. But on the other hand, like everyone is actually able to have their own bubble that relates to their ideology and outlook on the world. And the vast majority of real people's ideologies are, I really don't want to be bombing people right now.
Yes. I mean, Trump, one of the not insignificant reason he won in 2024 was because he marketed himself, whether it was obviously false or not, as the peace candidate to Harris, right? I mean, the reason, did he win Michigan? He won Michigan, right? Michigan in 2024. I swear, yeah, he did. And one of the main reasons he did was because people in Michigan were so upset with the Biden administration. It has a large population of Muslims, right, in Michigan. We're so upset with the Biden administration actively abetting a genocide that they just stayed home. They're like, we're not going to support the Democrats. I mean, like, you're literally killing our relatives. The Trump administration literally cannot be worse for us because they're selling themselves as this peace ticket that will get us out of foreign entanglements. And obviously that didn't actually happen because it was always a lie.
Yeah, and I think we covered this with the pivot to Kamala.
Yeah.
Where it seemed like she was the Democrats saw the shift to the right, and it looked like they were trying to outflank Trump from the right, where everyone was pissed the fuck off at them because they got to see infinite genocide on their phone all day. And then instead of pivoting to, okay, we will end this, because they could not do that, and we now know that they never challenged it, they pivoted to, we need the deadliest military, which is now what the Trump talking point is. For all of them, is they're saying we want to have like this extremely deadly, concise military. But when he was running, he made a short stint of saying, I'm going to end this conflict. And I guess he did for like a couple hours.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I don't think anyone expected him to actually do it in reality. But people don't like that shit.
Yeah.
People really don't like it.
Which is funny because in the past, when the U.S. has done this, especially in the Middle East, they've felt the need to manufacture popular consent through some means, right? Like the WMD's farce in Iraq.
Yeah.
Right? This time around, there's no consent manufacturing. And it's got to the point where everyone, it seems, is holding their breath, expecting the U.S. government to do a false flag terrorist attack.
Yes.
Like, people think that the government is going to do 9/11 again, and that sentence is purposely ambiguous. They think the U.S. government's going to do 9/11 again, and everyone is going to have to be like, okay, I guess we have to attack Iran. Even though everyone, if this actually happens, everyone will know it's fake.
Yeah.
Everyone will know their consent is being manufactured, but like, literally, what can you do? And that gets like the only, I think the main thing about the impending false flag that I think people shouldn't be worried about is that the U.S. government doesn't care if you approve of it anymore.
Yeah.
They don't need to manufacture consent at this point.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed. I know there were like recently, and I'm not going to get into details about them because it's not the point I'm trying to cover, but there were some shootings and attacks at synagogues, and every single comment was this is clearly a false flag. We all know who did this, and all of that. Every single comment going the way down. I'll say probably significantly more from the actual anti-Semitic side that just hates Jews, and not so much from the anti-Zionist side that is like probably is not trying to dip their toes into those waters as much as possible. But yeah, every news story now is a false flag or is Mossad or something like that. But you can also see people calling out every single news network. I think Sky News Australia was making a post about Israel's recent attacks on Lebanon, and they posted, had to take it down, posted again, had to take it down, posted again for the third time today. Every single article announced that I think 2 Israeli soldiers had died or were killed, and then 400 other people had mysteriously died.
Yeah.
Somehow, who knows? And they've just been unable to state exactly what happens. And it's very clear that it's available. And what I find is like a lot of people are saying, oh, okay, well, we need to make sure we're like protecting our communities and stuff like that, which is true. But the media has literally built this like mass grave that they're standing right beside.
Yeah.
Because as we covered on like October 9th, 2023, something like that, the deliberate conflation between like Zionist Israeli tendencies and Judaism in general was done in the favor of Israel, but it comes at the harm of Jews everywhere.
Yeah.
Who are then conflated with Zionist Israelis who are doing infinite genocide inside their own house.
But fomenting anti-Semitism is a deliberate strategy of Israel to make Jews feel unsafe in countries that increasingly are disgusted with Israel's conduct so that those Jews will leave and go to Israel. Because Israel needs to constantly replenish its population because the only... Like in most Western countries, the total fertility rate of people in Israel is very low. And the only population in Israel that really has a large positive fertility rate is like the pacifist, or not pacifist, I guess they are pro-war, but they're against serving in the army, like ultra-Orthodox Haredi types, right? Who have like 8 kids each. But you can't sustain the Israeli apartheid state with those guys because they don't serve in the IDF. They need to bring more people in because they're going to run out of regular Jews eventually. Yeah, it's a state built on that. And the media has deliberately made that extremely harmful conflation, but has also done such an abysmal job at covering what everyone has been able to see extremely openly. And because of that now, nobody trusts the media at all when it comes to any news that is at all tangentially related to any person in the Jewish community whatsoever. And it's a bed that the media has made, and now they're trying to deal with this crisis of, just insane anti-Semitism in every single comment section, at least, that will probably leak more and more into the real world. And they can't do anything about it. Well, I think the anti-Semitism thing is also a side effect of the absolute state of the real movement to abolish the present state of things, communism. Yeah, which has been on basically a permanent back foot since the fall of the Soviet Union. Yeah, right. Since the communist parties across the Western world and elsewhere, except for like China-aligned ones, were very dependent on the Soviet Union, not just for strategic direction, but also material support. Material support that evaporated in the wake of the Soviet Union's defeat. And of course, also the Soviet Union losing is a serious blow to the legitimacy of communism as a project, right? Where it's basically like, okay, here our flagship one fell apart, right? Communism has been, as a movement, has been shattered and on the verge of death since 1991. China has been totally unwilling to take up the torch of the Soviet Union. Yeah. And as a result, when popular discontent with the present state of things flares up, it does so in sort of this archaic way that it did like before Marx in the 19th century, where everyone becomes like weird. We talked about ideology shopping before, where everyone adopts micro ideologies. That's one expression of that, where everyone becomes like an anarcho-primitivist or whatever. The other expression of that, of course, is the oldest trick in Class Society's book, anti-Semitism. Yeah, which I think Marx described as the socialism of fools, because it is the socialism. It is what someone with zero class consciousness arrives at when they become disillusioned with the current state of capitalism. Yeah, when they become disillusioned with what some group of elites is doing that they are unable to aptly define as the capitalist class, and they have to come up with some other shadow group. And we've arrived at a very mysterious, never before seen state of things
where the number one enemies to your average right-wing person are 1, Jews, and 2, communists.
Yeah. I mean, that's the old, the old Judeo-Bolshevism thing. I mean, the right has always hated Jews and communists, whatever. But also, even among non-right-wingers, you see among social democrats, and we can, Stalin's opinion on social democrats notwithstanding, are they Nazis?
Liam is not here. We can speak freely.
We're in our Khrushchev era of the podcast. We're undertaking de-Liamization.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've stumbled into the podcast where we have the 2 unfunniest people in a one-on-one conversation trying to be humorous.
Yeah. So even among social democrats and centrists, you see sort of the most, like, the language of not proletariat and capitalists, but the people, quote unquote, this great mass that is composed not just of the proletariat, the only truly revolutionary class, but also, of course, the lumpen proletariat, and worst of all, the petty bourgeois, opposed against what social democrats and centrists have taken to calling the Epstein class.
Yes. Oh my God, man. Oh my God. We were so fucking close.
Yeah.
Actually, this was almost like a Luigi moment where everyone, like, Luigi shot a CEO and everyone's like, actually, that's kind of chill because that guy was a CEO.
Yeah.
They opened up the Epstein files and were like, holy shit, every billionaire elite is like a pedophile doing shadow deals on this.
Yeah.
And then they arrived at the great man theory.
Yeah. Well,
the great big bad evil wolf theory.
But I think it's to be maximally charitable to these people. I think Epstein is a symbol of this general idea that the billionaires are bad not because of their relationship to you as your employer or as, owners of the means of production.
Not as the dominant form of capital.
Because they are personally immoral.
Yeah.
Right? And that there are good rich people, those rich people who are not in the Epstein files, and then there are bad rich people, the Epstein class, who control the government from the shadows.
And also, if I may for a second, because I know I've kind of made this conflation a little bit too of, like, if you were hanging out with Epstein, you are a pedophile, which I will still stand with.
Yeah. Because
if you weren't, you could have, I'm sure, found another ultra rich deal maker after he was convicted of his pedophilia, or not convicted, but like whatever happened with his first pedophile case. I'm forgetting right now.
He was convicted of sexual solicitation of a minor and human trafficking of a minor. So solicitation is when you try to hire a prostitute. And then obviously he was convicted of trafficking a minor, and then he was placed on house arrest.
Yeah, for like a couple minutes.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
You could have found another elite shadow broker at that point from then on. But another thing is, like, what is the kind of capital form revealed by both Little St. James that is also kind of revealed with Israel? It is that these are both places where obscenely rich people and elites can go, get up to whatever freakish perversions they want, but also do their dealings in a way where they are unable to be legally punished.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there were people going to Epstein's Island not for pedophilia, but because they were guaranteed to be in a place where they could do whatever criminal elite brokering they needed to do to get other criminal stuff done without being worried about, like, poor people being around, stuff like that. It's a representation of something more, which is that they are literally, like, the richest of the rich in terms of capital exist outside of the rules. They are the geographical representation of that.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting at.
It's, I mean, I think the reason we're seeing, again, to reiterate, the rise of false consciousness in all its forms, anti-Semitism, the belief in the people versus the Epstein class as opposed to, the owners of capital versus the workers, which excludes even like the most petty of petty bourgeois from the mass of the workers.
Yes, which small business owners.
Yeah.
Who was about to get on. Your average small business owner is probably worse than anyone listed in the Epstein file.
Anti-Semitism, belief in the Epstein class, and the idea of good rich people or even good employers. All of these exist because communism has existed on life support with an extraordinarily weak pulse for like 30-something years now. There are people, we grew up, we literally don't remember a time when there was a country where the majority of production occurred under a planned economy.
Yeah.
I guess maybe North Korea is the only exception.
And even then, we don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Like I have no validity with that statement. I genuinely have no clue or verifiable real information about what happens in North Korea.
I guess I should say we are the first generation, I guess late millennials as well, who basically exists in a world where communism is fully dead.
Yeah.
We live in that period between what liberalism had between the fall of the English Republic and the French Revolution, which was like a 150-year-long stretch where it looked like republicanism was decisively defeated before it suddenly swelled up and became globally victorious in the 19th century.
We live in the era in a hero's journey where he is completely crumbled immediately before he is able to gather his strength and willpower and win.
Yeah.
The point of Castro's revolution in Cuba, where he was down to his last 6 people in the revolution.
And the CIA hadn't decided to back him yet.
And then they went on to win.
Yeah.
That's exactly where we are right now is what we're trying to get at.
Yeah, it's not a good time to live. I guess all you can do really is, I mean, if you really want to do something, you can join the Communist Party and help them.
Yeah. Or try to find a local organization close to you, do community work, food banks, stuff like that. Find a party that if you believe is trustworthy and good, that represents you, join them and just help out in any way you can.
Or alternatively, you can just do nothing. I mean, you can take care of yourself because sometimes that's all you can do. I mean, it's not like you can go join the Red Army. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. And especially to anyone listening to this, if it's a very isolated time. If you are feeling particularly isolated, if you are feeling like things are very politically hopeless and stuff like that, if you're really down about it, doing community work is a great way to be surrounded by other people who care about other people and their well-being. One way or another. You might not be best friends with everyone, but everyone's in there together and you know that, and it's a very comforting feeling.
Yeah. You can always, if all you can do is take care of yourself, just take solace in the fact that the rate of profit will continue to decline and crises will continue to accumulate until the final crisis comes about. And I guess if you survive that, everything will be better after. But, who knows what will happen.
Yeah, no matter what happens, I feel like, and I'm very willing to have people disagree with me on this. It's just about organizing and doing your best to support communities while we wait for the crises to occur and the rate of profit to fall, and then see what comes out of that. And maybe China will make some big moves, maybe not. But without the USSR, it's a little tougher to sit there and be like, this other great power is going to win right now.
Yeah.
Let's move to a little more local thinking of, because I've particularly noted 2 things over the last little bit. One is when it comes to Iran and things that I was saying, like false flag attacks, is that it's been really hard to discern what is real and what is not. And it's something that I have to actively pay attention to much more than I used to. But also, I've noticed there has been an absolute flurry within Canada that points towards liberals once again putting out the red carpet to pave their way for fascism.
Yeah.
So one is the effort between Carney and Doug Ford and just kind of a bunch of people to allow companies to be able to ignore laws if it helps develop things faster, which is something that they just don't need to do. And they were also targeting projects that were either already approved and on track, But like essentially it was just a way to make it so that companies can ignore labor laws. So stripping people of their rights. Doug Ford has put in his motion to end freedom of information requests. He is being investigated by the RCMP.
Yeah.
And the OPP, I believe. And this would apply retroactively. So it would shut down some investigations into him because we also know he was doing his dealings on his personal phones and stuff like that. We have the No More Loopholes Act, which allows us to continue to fund genocide. Bill 60 was passed. One of its major features that I was focused on is that it allows private corporations to take ownership of municipal water systems. The OSAP has been gutted by Doug Ford. So now instead of getting grants for university, people are now being forced to be saddled with more and more debt, which is just bad because investment in education is investment into the future. So this causes a steeper decline and is also a trend of anti-academic policy. And Bill C-12 in general is kind of just making more motion, which is the Anti-Immigration and Pro-Digital Surveillance Act and all of that stuff. And there have been multiple updates on everything every day. And there has just been an absolute flurry, nauseatingly fast, of all of this happening all at once. Same with the new Science Center. They shut down the Science Center claiming it would need $40 million in roof repairs. The engineers came out and said, no, it doesn't. They shut it down anyways, and now have said they're building a new one for $1 billion. Doug Ford has also said he's taking over Billy Bishop Airport and expanding the island to make it so that jets can take off, which is just a dumb idea because it has neither the capacity and the noise pollution would be stupid. Yeah, I guess in the absolute flurry of bad news, this is generally a deliberate thing. Doug Ford, I think I've seen a lot more coming out of the NDP and the Liberals of Ontario. And I have not seen that in a long time. The fact that I have seen a single video related to the Ontario Liberals probably signs death for Doug Ford. He is a dog, but I have literally never seen any competition of his at all. I remember when there was a news article going into the provincial election that was like Doug Ford and the Liberals and NDP or something like that. Like it didn't even name anyone else.
Okay, looking at current seat projection from 338 Canada, if an election were held today, Doug Ford would win with 90% certainty between 70 and 89 seats. The NDP would win between 23 and 29. The Liberals would win between 7 and 23. The Greens would win 2 to 3, and an independent would win 1 seat. So I think he's okay.
He's okay. Maybe it is just the fact that I've seen something and it's so shocking to me that I'm overreading into it. But I feel like there is a bit of a motion shift. There's been a lot of bad news out of Dougie recently. Now, he always finds his way out of it. But things like the Science Center are like genuinely like pretty bad for him. He's proposed like several mega projects. Like the Billy Bishop, like the island one is a mega project. The 401 tunnel mega project. The Thermia Spa, which is like should not be, but for some reason is of such insane scale. And then the Science Center coming in at $1 billion to be smaller. I'll call that another like Ontario mega project. And then the last one is like the Ring of Fire, which we'll see what actually comes out of that.
That's kind of how you know fascism is generally indistinguishable from regular ass liberalism, because we're doing the exact same stupid shit the Nazis were doing, just building giant mega projects for no reason. And it's like the thing is when you talk about like central planning or democratic central planning, stuff like that, the whole purpose is getting like information feedback where you do something, figure out if the impact was positive or negative, adjust what you plan from then on, do something else, and then get feedback, see if it's positive or negative, and then do something else. And we're kind of seeing all across Canada
all that's happening is that some people will take their measurements and be like, okay, bike lanes are actually better for everyone. And then someone will spend 10 years and $7 trillion installing one 200-meter bike lane. And then the next person will come in and be like, I hate you so much, I hate you so much, and then spend $7 trillion more tearing down the bike lane. And we've arrived at like a structural paralysis where there is no feedback, no measurement, no care, no goal. I was messaging my city councilor to bring this up again.
Oh no.
And I said, what
Here
data
we
do you
go.
have to support your position? And he said, my positions are not built on any data. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And who got you that data?
You did. You guys should go watch. You guys are gonna have to watch about 100 hours of Northern Line to understand that exchange. But
and instead, what we're getting is a bunch of massive projects that are doomed to fail out of the door, insanely expensive, and just like fundamentally aren't really going to change anything. It's kind of like how I say the death throes of the American empire. Since we can't really do stuff externally, we're just throwing random shit around and trying to blow money in a promise that it will do more, which is, I guess, kind of what the Nazi Party did.
yeah,
Makes you think. Makes you think.
honestly, we're not even really like the Nazis. We're more like like one of like the stupid Axis powers like Bulgaria or Hungary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Nazi was the central power, so we kind of are doomed to leave that to America, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
One of
the Axis powers that had fascism, but they're like, we're just not going to do much with the Holocaust thing because we don't care, like Bulgaria.
Yeah. Yep.
Why don't we leave it there?
Yeah. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Thanks for listening,
I
everyone.
hope you enjoyed.
Hopefully we'll have more people next time, or maybe we won't. You'll still listen to it.
Yeah. Whatever. I'll still listen to that garbage.
All right, bye.
Bye.